It's finally happening. Every once in a while, you watch a country shift so fast, it feels like tectonic plates moving in real time. That's Canada right now. I've followed Canadian politics for years, and honestly, I never expected Washington's grip to loosen this quickly. But when news of Swedish jets and Chinese electric vehicles broke, I first laughed, then realized the ground was literally moving beneath us. This isn't just a policy tweak. It's Canada waking up from dependency and building a new kind of power, one that doesn't wait for American approval. Jobs, alliances, even the very idea of what it means to be Canadian, everything is about to change. How Mark Carney's government shattered decades-old dependencies. Why Canada's military and auto industries are now central in a global tug-of-war. What Swedish Gripen jets and Chinese EVs reveal about Canada's new playbook. The real stakes, sovereignty, power, and breaking the myth that dependency is destiny. If you were shaping Canada's next big alliance, would you double down on North America or risk deeper ties with Europe and Asia? Which future do you actually want? Drop your answers below. I read them all. I've written a book called Awake, the practice of critical thinking in an age of self-lies. It's about staying clear, calm, and grounded when the world distorts around you. If you've ever felt overwhelmed or unsure whom to trust, this book is for you. Hope you find friends. Welcome back, SkyJet Wings. For decades, Canada lived under a quiet gravity, a sense that its place in the world was defined by what it wasn't. Need fighter jets? Buy American. Want the economy humming? Keep the border open. Even being Canadian was often framed as not American, not independent, not a threat. That gravity pulled on everything: defense, trade, diplomacy, even how Canadians saw themselves. The cost? A sense of permanent smallness, even though Canada has always had the potential for more. Here's the reality check. About 80% of Canada's defense budget went to American-made equipment. Government officials now admit the security relationship leaned too heavily on Washington. And the illusion of inevitability? It almost always serves someone else, the bigger power. Canada's industrial story tells the same tale. The auto industry, long tied to the US playbook, and the 100% tariff on Chinese EVs show how narrow the options really were. Over time, dependency didn't just shape policy, it shaped identity. And when identity is built on what you are not, the pressure never stops. Today, seeing that pressure visibly loosen is thrilling. The first steps away from the old script don't erase the past, but they open the door to a new future. A future where Canadians define the rules, not someone else. Almost overnight, the script flipped. Canada is now considering Swedish-made Gripen fighter jets. And this isn't just about hardware, it's about rewiring who calls the shots. SAP-AB isn't offering a simple export deal. They're proposing a joint venture, building jets in Canada, training Canadian engineers, embedding cutting-edge tech directly into the Canadian aerospace ecosystem. The program could create up to 10,000 Canadian jobs. Suddenly, Canada isn't just a buyer, it's a builder. For decades, procurement felt like a formality. Everyone assumed the Americans would win. But with the F-35 looking less inevitable and Gripens on the horizon, something deeper is unfolding. I see it as a subtle but firm statement. Canada is saying no to automatic obedience. This deal is more than a contract. It's a vote for sovereignty. For the first time in years, it's the American side that's looking rattled. Donald Trump, whose influence relied on Canada's dependency, is watching a historic asset slip away. Defense procurement hasn't felt this exciting in decades, and this is why. While everyone's focused on the military deals, something equally seismic is happening across the Pacific. China, after years of diplomatic freeze, has placed Canada back on its official list of approved tourist destinations, and that's just the beginning. There's credible talk of China lifting punishing tariffs on Canadian canola, a move that could rescue thousands of livelihoods and signal a real reset in relations. Here's the strategic kicker. This didn't happen under Trudeau or Harper. It happened after a single face-to-face meeting between Mark Carney and Chinese officials, 40 minutes that changed 8 years of hostility in a handshake. When I read this, I felt genuine excitement. This is what leadership should look like: calm, respectful, and focused on the long game, not just showmanship or sound bites. But China's move isn't just about tourism or canola. It's about opening a door that's been nailed shut since the Meng Wanzhou crisis. Think critically. Who benefits from Canada having more options? Who gets nervous when a monopoly breaks? This is a sovereignty story, proof that Canada doesn't have to live in someone else's shadow. Now here's the part that blows the ceiling off the story. China is hinting that in exchange for lifting canola tariffs, Canada should reciprocate in the automotive sector. That means Chinese electric vehicles on Canadian roads, cheaper, faster, smarter, and an end to decades of American auto dominance. Analysts from Export Development Canada report that China already accounts for nearly 40% of global EV exports, with a huge manufacturing cost advantage in batteries and vehicles. For anyone watching the auto industry grind under protectionism, this feels revolutionary. The American car lobby has dreaded this moment, a Canadian market that's no longer obedient. Prices come down, choices go up, and Donald Trump's leverage evaporates. Reports indicate Canada is even considering scrapping the 100% tariff on Chinese EVs, the very barrier designed to keep the US in control. The strategic excitement here is palpable. Mark Carney's diversification strategy is all about finding independence, not by closing doors, but by opening as many as possible. Of course, tension remains. Re-engaging China risks angering Washington. Canada now walks a high wire. How far can it stretch before something snaps? This isn't a game for the emotional or apathetic. But the fact is clear: dependency has a cost. And for the first time in a generation, Canada seems ready to pay the price for something bigger. Real, risky, exhilarating sovereignty. Standing in the details, it's hard not to feel exhilarated. Canada isn't just reacting anymore, it's leading, stepping out of the shadows of bigger powers and building alliances that truly reflect its own interests. What excites me most is that after decades of being pulled by someone else's gravity, there's now a real chance to redraw the map. Not just for Canada, but as a lesson for any nation boxed in by dependency. There is hope for everyone. So let me ask you again, if you could choose Canada's next big partnership, where would you steer the ship? Towards the familiar safety of North America, or into the open waters with Europe and Asia? Your answer says as much about hope as it does about strategy. The real lesson? The end of inevitability might just be the beginning of agency. When you're no longer trapped by what's always been done, you start to see how many doors are actually open. For those who want a deeper dive, the full analysis of the soft grip story is linked below, along with a detailed look at how global power is realigning in the Carney era. And a personal note, if you want tools for thinking clearly as big power shifts happen, I wrote a book called Awake, The Practice of Critical Thinking in an Age of Self-Lies. It's about finding footing and optimism even as headlines change by the hour. The book and a subscriber discount are linked below. Thank you for being part of this conversation. If you enjoy this analysis, subscribe SkyJet Wings. There's always more coming, focused on clarity, strategy, and the real-world impact on ordinary people. Until next time, stay awake, stay curious, and keep building towards something bigger.